Alright, so first up, tools that you're probably going to need when working with blood and short-tail pythons. The number one thing that I recommend is you go out and pick up hemostats or tweezers for feeding. I use this is an 18-inch long hemostat for my adults, but it can also work for the juveniles and the hatchlings. Very important tool. Blood pythons and short-tail pythons strike really hard, so you want to keep your fingers away from the action. Another thing to work with is hide boxes. Short-tails and bloods need to feel secure, so you want to get preferably ones that are not opaque, something that they can curl up underneath and be completely dark, but still have an opening where they can leave their head out to take a look around and whatnot. You can use these like general black hide boxes, the half log things. People can use crushed up newspaper. I've heard that works really well, especially if you have a little bit larger hide box than the size of your blood python. The way that you want to work it is you want the snake to be able to curl up and be able to feel all the sides. So if you have a snake that's say about a foot long, this hide box will be perfect for it. Even if the hide box is raising up a little bit, that's fine, but a lot of the times they'll actually just use their newspaper and they'll go underneath that and use that as a hide box. So you won't even need one. But I provide hides for almost all my bloods and my short tails, unless they've consistently chosen not to use them themselves. Another thing a lot of people use is gloves. I personally don't use gloves when dealing with bloods and short tails, but if you go to the like Home Depot or Lowe's, you can pick up gloves like this. If you got one that's rather bitey and you don't like getting bit, or you don't feel like getting bit, I feel like the gloves don't really give you a feel for the snake, but when they're small, the bites really usually don't hurt. They rarely draw blood. It's more of like a scare tactic than anything. But if you're going to use gloves, I say use ones that are reinforced with rubber, just as a precaution that the snake doesn't hurt itself and whatnot. Gloves can be a useful tool if you're working with ones that are especially defensive. Just doing a little bit of video of the ventilation holes. I usually do ventilation holes on the front of the tub and on the back of the tub. I use all mine in rack systems, so I usually do the most at the front and then in the back, just to give some ventilation, cross ventilation through the heat in the back of the cage and then some of the cool air in the front of the cage. Okay, when dealing with hatchlings or to juveniles, I use 6-quart tubs, and this is a Sterilite tub that I got from Target for like $2, and then this is just a general shoebox tub that I just picked up at Home Depot, like 99 cents. They are about 13.5 inches long by between, I think, 5.5 to 8.5 inches wide, and then about 6 inches tall? No, 5 inches tall. And the height is not really the big thing that you need to worry about with the blood and short-tail pythons. Because they're terrestrial, they really don't use any of the vertical space. What you're looking for is the most amount of floor space, because they are thick and they need to spend a lot of their time on the ground and on the cage. In these right now, I just have 2 different types of substrate. You can look in this one. There's like this dirt mixture, which you can use the ground up coconut fiber mixed with the like cypress mulch. And that gives a lot of humidity and holds the humidity. Blood and short-tail pythons need a little bit more higher humidity than your average snake, like a ball python or something like that. So that helps a lot with the humidity. And then over here I have newspaper, which is what I use. And the thing with the newspaper is I just like to stack it thick so that it gives a little bit more cushion and support. Since blood pythons aren't going to be climbing anywhere, they need to feel cushion and whatnot. So the newspaper, I like to be able to press down on it and feel that it's cushioned. With the cypress mulch, and you can use sphagnum moss or things like that, mixtures of dirt, as long as it doesn't have any pesticides or anything in it. You can make it a little bit thicker, and that way you usually don't have to use a hide if it's a little bit larger snake. With the blood and short-tail pythons, you want to make sure that they have enough room to stretch out to digest, so you want to be able to stretch out about 3/4 of their body along the length of the cage so that they can have an area to spread out and to digest. Alright, These are the water dishes that I use, and you could actually probably convert some of these into hide boxes as well for the opaque or the darker ones. But these are just like little Tupperware containers. I picked these up at Dollar Tree. You can probably find them at like dollar stores. These actually came in a pack of 6, so that's 6 water dishes, so that if one gets like ruined or breaks or whatever, it's like, what, 20 cents, 15 cents, whatever. They're really cheap, really easy to use, clean, and I just use these mostly in the 6-quart tubs, and it actually helps raise that humidity. You can see that it does take up a good portion of the floor, but it's for the humidity. Blood pythons also like to soak, so a lot of the times you'll find your blood or your short tail wrapped up in there, and they spend some time in the water, especially when they're going into shed. With the juveniles, they can take a couple months to shed from being hatched, so if your short tail or blood python hasn't shed yet, give it some time, wait it out. They can take up to 3, 4, 5 months to do their first shed, so be patient and it'll happen. But with the little bit larger tubs, I use these in my 28-quart tubs, and you can use them in 41-quart tubs as well. This is just like a microwave container. It's supposed to come with a lid for tacos or something like that, but I just bought it. It was $1, so this works really well. I usually fill it up. For the smaller ones, I fill the water dish up about halfway, because when your blood sits in it, it's going to raise the water level a lot, so you don't get a lot of overspill. I usually only fill it about halfway. You can fill it up all the way, but like I said, once they go and soak in it, the water level is going to drop, and you're going to have wet substrate, so it's just a little bit easier to use about halfway. Okay, this is actually one of my setups that I have for my Borneos, my little juvenile Borneos, and you can see that I actually just put my 6-quart tubs into a 12-quart tub so that it fits in my rack, so I don't have any wasted space and whatnot. And then after it outgrows the 6-quart tub, I'll actually just move it straight into this 12-quart tub so it's got a space in the rack already. So you can actually see this is one of the setups that I have going. You can see water dish on one side, hide box on the warm side, and then got a little snake in there. So you can see this one's still got a lot of growing to do before it gets moved up into another tub. But from hatchling size up to about a year old, or a little bit under a year, this is the size tub that I use, the 6-quart. But then again, it's just judge it by how quickly your short tail's growing or your blood's growing, and everything's on an individual basis. Once you see that it's starting to look a little cramped in here, switch it up. If it starts to not eat in the larger tub, switch it down to a smaller tub. Try and find an intermediate tub between the two sizes. But usually I go from 6 to 12, and then 12 to 28, and then 28 to 41 for a little bit, and then up to 74 quarts. And adults, I house my adults in 4-foot by 2-foot cages, which I will be doing a video on later. But you can see, got plenty of room to move around. But she hasn't even had her first shed yet, so that's a good size. That's a good cage setup.